Superman issue 15. Brian Michael Bendis writing with Ivan Reis on the art. Although Comixology claimed there was like 3 or 4 artists, although the cover only had Reese's name for the actual
Yeah.
line work. So, um, so I'll go with that. But anyway, so this again, we're still kind of sitting on the introduction of the Legion here. We get basically it's kind of like a wrap-up issue, just sort of explaining where everything ends here,
Yeah.
where we find out a little bit more about Rogol Zar and how he's being contained, and we find out kind of the setup of this unification, this UN of space, and
United
Superboy
Planets
being offered this job to, or a job, this
position.
to go with the Legion, and he's going to like have to go home and decide on it. He's got a bit of time to decide.
Yeah.
And it ends with kind of a joke of like Supergirl saying to him, "Hey, you might want to like sugarcoat this as like a college thing in the future to your mum," because Lois doesn't know about it yet. So it's like, "Hey, you may want to try to sugarcoat this."
And I like how the Legion sets it up like they did with Clark when he was younger, which is now that's all out of continuity because this is the de facto first appearance of the Legion going forward. That they came to Clark because he inspired them. Superboy inspired the Legion.
Can I just say I much prefer it being with John and being with Superboy as opposed to Clark, because I don't like the idea of Clark knowing about the Legion before he becomes Superman. I just don't like that idea.
Well, the whole point of it originally was that he felt so alienated living in Smallville and being this person with his powers that the Legion would come and offer him a chance to just be himself. And they were kind of like his clubhouse, right? You can kind of apply that to John, except that he has Damian, he has the Titans.
I'll be honest, I liked it in that it always gave Clark a bit of extra motivation as to do the right thing, because he's like, hey, I've seen the impact I could have.
See, I don't like that.
A nice thing to keep him going.
No, I hate it, because for me, he has to make the choice to be who he is, no matter how hard it may seem, without knowing that it's going to work. I think...
and I get that that's fine, and that's why I think it worked when John's had him forget about it, right? With the Lightning Saga. And then suddenly, oh no, here they are because someone's been messing with time. And, so it ends up working. But, so here that I do like that it is John now, and that it's almost like Kara said, it's a college program. He can go and come back, as long as time's not broken, which who knows with the way time works in DC. As soon as he get there, he could, not come home for a while because the time sphere broke. But it doesn't mean that we're gonna lose John, which I ever since Bendis came on, those fears have been there, and it just seems like
now he's going to be one of the main characters in the Legion of Superheroes book. So
written by Bendis.
Written by Bendis.
So those fears are definitely put to bed, and it doesn't necessarily write him out because he did, at the end of this, John says he has to go gloat to Damian.
Yeah, yeah, I liked that. I liked how. Like he says, "Oh, I'm going to have to like have a serious talk about this." He's like, "Oh yeah, well your mom's like, no, I mean Damien."
Yeah.
So it says next issue we're getting Super Sons. We're getting Damien for an issue,
which should be fun. Also in this we get Zod in his kind of reformation.
Yeah.
To where now he is a de facto tweener, whereas he's like, well, no, we did this all for Krypton, and Superman's kind of like, well, you went in the Phantom Zone. You paid your debt to Krypton. Krypton's no more. So let's do our best to honor its legacy. And I like that.
Yeah, no, he's basically like, Zod's going to like establish a new Krypton from the ground up and build a legacy. In fact, there's a joke here where someone says, "How many babies you plan on having starting a new Kryptonian race?" He's like, not that way.
Yeah. But I like that. I also, there's a portion that in this Unity Saga story that's being told throughout Superman, we had that future of Unity Day, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone's a little bit older and Superman has a daughter. When the Legion's talking to John, they go, "Can you introduce us to your sister?"
No, right? Your aunt. It was your aunt.
Your aunt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. So who's this aunt?
I took that as they thought Supergirl was his aunt because of the age difference.
Okay. That's on my brain, so I misread this.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but no one else made sense, and I thought, maybe it's
aunt, not sister. So I'm remembering this wrong.
Yeah. I took it to mean Supergirl because she's a bit older. Okay. They thought that was his.
Well, then, who's that character from the future then? That this reminded me of,
I mean, from the dream of the future.
Yeah. Like, are we ever going to get that? Like,
maybe?
is that just dressing? I don't know. But shoot, now that it's not that,
I mean,
there goes my
because
theory.
John has no aunts. If you think about it,
well, he's got Lucy Lane, and that's about it.
Oh, sure, okay. Unless this guy from the future just really has the hots for Lucy Lane.
Well, that's where I thought maybe they're talking about, you know, John's sister or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so that's nothing more. But anyways, I like that. I like the Legion being so overwhelmed and we skipped the part where they came early. Their time
4 minutes
calculations.
Because the decision to actually go ahead with this hadn't happened yet, and like shit, we kind of messed this up. But it's actually what inspires everyone to it sounds like it works, so we should probably just all agree to this.
Which was Connor's just his point with Superman. Of the Legion, right? Is the United Planets comes together because of an idea of the future that we know it works. So here we go. We have the Legion superhero reasoning with Superman working out. So what else happens?
So Unity. Well, the whole scene with Adam Strange, where when Superman hugging him was a nice little touch, if nothing else.
That makes me so worried about Tom King. I feel like this is Bendis going, yo, Strange, you're gonna have a rough go of this coming up. So here's a hug from Superman.
Superman telling Adam what happens, kind of the framing device for a lot of the story, and then of course we find out that Adam Strange tells Superman what's happened to Jor-El is that he's been tried for his crimes, and Superman tries to stick up for him a little bit. And he's like, look, he's basically started wars, he's done a lot of nefarious things. There's like no protecting him. And he's like, okay, can I go and see him then? Where's he incarcerated? And we find out that his punishment was to be sent back in time to the moment he left. On Krypton. So Jor-El has actually died with the explosion of Krypton. But there is this emotional beat where he sees himself and his wife and says he did it. He united the universe, or he united the planets. He
brings the universe together.
Yeah.
He does it.
With a tear in his eye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it got a little bit dusty. I was reading that.
It's a good moment. It's one of these things where I don't necessarily like the idea that Jor-El, survived. When he was first revealed as Mr. Oz, and it was this kind of thing, like, it's this thing where we can't just let people be dead. This, of course, kind of puts it back in place again and fits it. It does kind of change Jor-El's character, or how we think of Jor-El a little bit, that he went on to do all this stuff. But so it does that, and we find out that Jor-El actually created Rogol Zaar. Jor-El's behind it.
He's kind of Frankenstein's monster that way, and that we still are unclear about why this dark, what are they called? The,
Dark Circle, whatever they were.
The Circle. That's what it was. Why they would create Rogol Zaar and why he hates the Kryptonians. So I'm sure we'll get that later.
I'm sure there'll be more Rogol Zaar backstory to come at some point. But I think we'll maybe be taking a break from him for a little while. Whilst we focus on other stuff. That's
cool.
Superman, Jor-El rather, when he's been sentenced, he's got those rings around him, the Superman the movie rings, which is cool. I do dig that. So, it's a really nice beat. And we get that full page of Krypton going again, which we see it all the time in comics, but it felt more justified here than normal because we just sent someone back to that, moment to die.
And you see the rocket leaving, right? There's a screen explosion, but a yellow-red one escaping it, and hooey. Yeah.
So that's a really solid issue, and the final page is the Superman family all flying back to Earth and joking about, speaking to Lois and Damian, and that's where we leave the issue. Joe, it's funny, like, at the start of this issue, I was almost like, hey, like, between Superman and Supergirl last issues and then this issue, it feels like we've been revolving around this one event and the Legion showing up for 3 issues now. I was worried that it was going to feel like it was spinning its wheels a little bit. But this issue actually delivered on everything that it needed. If anything, the last 2 issues, Superman and Supergirl, did suffer a little bit from both being 2 sides of the same thing, and it felt a little bit repetition between them. But
and that's why when we get to Supergirl, it feels so refreshing. That what we jump back to. But here the ultimate point with the Legion here that I don't like that it didn't get lost is they brought themselves, right? Like, this all happens, and they kind of incept it for it to happen. And it ultimately makes them more important which I like because for these characters that have been gone for so long now, Bendis is putting this mark on them between Millennium and the series that's spinning out of this. Like, as a Legion fan, I'm very happy, even though it's not my Legion, that I like the classic Superman era. But it's good, and if it's going to bring people like Pete in that aren't that familiar with the Legion, then by all means, let's do this.
I feel like you said it's going to spin out. I feel like it's going to equally spin out of both this and Millennium, because I feel like Rose is going to be there too.
Well, yeah, that's what I said when I said this Millennium and then spinning out of this. Like both of them are lifting that weight together.
Yeah, and I like the idea that John's deciding to go, but it's basically just visiting first. It's not permanent, so.
Yeah.
It opens the door for him to always return later down the line, which is inevitably going to happen at some point.
Exactly. And the cohesion that you feel amongst the super books right now, it definitely feels like a shared universe. And like with the Batman books, we're not reading Detective, but that feels so far and away from King's Run or anything else going on over there that, it feels nice that Superman has what happens here has fallout in Supergirl. But I feel like you could just read Supergirl and you get the beats enough that you wouldn't need, you're not missing out. It just makes it better.
Yeah. If anything, the bigger concern is when you're reading both, you do get a little bit of overlap sometimes, and that, it's a little annoying, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
damn, Bendis.
Hey, that is Superman 15. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm giving this a 9. I really enjoyed this. Ivan Reese art is up there, and again, it got dusty in that moment of Jor-El going back.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot too. I am going to give it an 8.5. I think there's emotional beats in there. I think the whole idea of Unity Day, the big full page spread of John shouting Unity Day, and this is what this day will be known. The whole idea of everyone coming together under the guise of the Superman family, and how Clark finds out about Jor-El. All that stuff kind of just makes for some really good reading, and it feels like this feels like the true ending to the first 15 issues. It feels like Unity Day is the capper on the Unity saga, which is what this has been up until now. And we're going to maybe start. I mean, I'm sure we're going to deal with John's decision next issue, and then it'll be the issue after that where we really get into some new main Superman book material. Because obviously, Action's still doing Leviathan stuff and
Leviathan, Naomi,
Yeah.